Welcome to Fireside Nets, brought to you by Empire Sports Media. This is episode 151, and we have once again a guest co-host, my guy from the Only Nets Fan You Know pod, Pete. What's happening, my dog? It's good to have you back on the show.
Very excited to be back. Lots to talk about. I'm just waiting for this offseason to start. Let's just jump straight into it. Let's go. I'm ready.
Let's do it. And for those wondering, brother Nick, he's out again this week. Let's call it the reason being rehearsal. You ever see that the DNP and it says like rehearsal or something? Yeah, that's what he's got. So without further ado, let's get into it. We have the reaction to the second game of the NBA Finals, surprisingly won by the Miami Heat. The score was 111-108. The Nuggets made a late surge at the very end of the game. Jamal Murray missed a step-back three to tie the game. The series is tied 1-1 as the two teams head to Miami. Pete, thoughts after the first two games of this series?
I'll be very honest. Once the Nets are eliminated, I don't watch the playoffs. I'm purely a Nets fan. I enjoy watching good basketball. Don't get me wrong. But it always pains me that my team is not in the finals or they don't make a deep run. And to be honest, I thought this series would kind of be like a wash. I was kind of expecting Denver to just roll over Miami. And I'm shocked that they won game two. Totally shocked.
Yeah, so I am super dialed into this series. And I get it. You're a true fan. Maybe you're more of a fan than me. I wouldn't deny you that. I think that for you to just stop watching basketball after the Nets are out, that's some freaking loyalty right there.
It's like torture. It's like
me,
torture.
I gotta watch. I gotta see. It's like watching the end of a movie. Even though my favorite character died, I still got to see who wins. So, first two games completely different. In game one, Denver really dominated for three quarters. The Heat were able to slow them down a little bit in that second half. But really it was a wire-to-wire win for Denver in that first game. And the thoughts out of that first match were, sweep, Denver in 5, Miami's not going to do it. Miami's role players in game two came to play. Max Strus started off the game. He hit a bunch of threes. He was hot. Duncan Robinson started the fourth quarter, had 10 straight points, hit a few threes, hit an and one layup. He was great. Kevin Love started the game. He had 6 points, 10 rebounds. Adebayo, who was pretty good in game one, he was excellent in game two, did a great job of neutralizing everybody else other than Jokic. And the reason that Duncan and Max Strus were able to get open so much is because Bam just sets such a good screen. One of the best screen setters in the NBA. Spoelstra threw a perfect game in terms of coaching. Kyle Lowry hit some shots. Even Caleb Martin, who's really struggled, he hit 1 3, and it was a very, very clutch 3. Gabe Vincent was actually the star of this game. 23 points for him in 32 minutes. He just absolutely hit every big shot that Miami needed, the wide open ones, the contested ones, some running floaters. He was brilliant. And in terms of Denver, why they lost this game, Malone said it best, but they lack discipline. They missed a lot of assignments on defense. Michael Porter Jr. and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope each had bad games. Offensively, they were cold, and it crept into the defense side of the ball. KCP had 2 plays where he fouled a 3-point shooter. One was Lowry. I don't remember who the other one was. But then, also Michael Porter Jr., he just looked disengaged defensively on multiple occasions. He's 6'10". He's got to be better than that. So lack of discipline. And look, I said this. Miami's going to beat you because they're going to out-execute you. It's not going to be a talent thing with Miami. It's if their role players are doing what they're asked and Jimmy Butler is leading, the way, they're going to win. And Butler was all right in this one. I mean, 21 points in 40 minutes, 9 rebounds. He hit some big shots in that fourth quarter. But if the Heat role players are going to outplay the Nuggets role players and the Heat starters are going to outplay the Nuggets starters, like it's going to be a long series for Denver. So, look, I haven't watched them all year. I was listening to a fan on the radio today. He was on the show with Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Will, and Kellerman. And he said that the Nuggets have these games where they just look disinterested, they look disengaged, that they're not ready from jump, and they usually come back the next time and win. So I still have Denver in 6. That was my pick, I think, a few podcasts ago or last week. I still like Jokic and them to get it done because I do think that, the finals is about taking punches, and you knew Miami wasn't going to go out quietly. So this was a huge uppercut by Miami. Can Denver recover? Can they win a game 3 on the road in Miami in a hostile environment? I think they can. And I think they'll be much more engaged defensively. Coach Malone will have these guys ready to play. I think Denver's going to come out in game 3 and get the W.
I got a question for you, though. I was looking at the stats. In the fourth quarter, I saw the Heat shot 11 of 16 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. Do you think they have another type of fourth quarter in them? I think they could do it one more time. I can't see them continually doing this over and over. I think Denver will make some adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Duncan Robinson plays a quarter as well as he played that fourth quarter, I might re-question everything I know about basketball. I mean, this man who is a spot-up shooter, and granted, he has improved his off-the-dribble basketball game, and his basketball IQ has gotten slightly better with time, but my God, 3 in your grill, layup over Jeff Green. He hit another layup. He could not be stopped. He got fouled on a shot. I don't think he's going to do that again. But at the same time, the Heat are one of those squads where they feed off of defensive stops. And outside of Jokic, who had, I think, 41 yesterday, Jokic he basically, every time it looked like the Heat were going to go on another run, Jokic would get a basket. But at the same time, if Jokic is scoring every way down the court, right, Pete, and the other 4 guys are just kind of standing around watching, they're not going to be as engaged on defense. That's just sort of a fact. The energy's better when everybody's scoring, when Porter Jr. is hitting threes, when Bruce Brown is taking it to the rack, when Jamal's got it going on. By the way, Miami did an excellent job on Jamal Murray. That was another adjustment they made. They started Kevin Love over Caleb Martin in game 2, and they had Jimmy Butler D-up Jamal Murray, and he did a fantastic job on him. Murray didn't get hot until very late in that fourth quarter where he hit a few shots. So to answer your initial question, do I think that they're going to have another quarter like that? If they play as well as they did defensively through 3 quarters, then yeah, it sort of won't surprise me if guys like Strus, Vincent, Robinson, Hayden Highsmith, it won't surprise me if those guys get hot.
If you could take one of these franchises, and I'm talking about roster, front office, and give it to the Nets, right? Would you rather the Nets take the Heat franchise or the Nuggets franchise? Nuggets, obviously, they have, I would say, better talent. I would say the Heat are probably maybe the best run organization in basketball, but less talent.
Yeah, I mean, give me the Nuggets. One of the callers into the radio today was going over age, right? Jokic is 27. Gordon's 26. I think MPJ is 24, 25. Jamal's not 30 yet. These guys are extremely young. And even if they lose this finals, that's experience right there, right? They've never been in this situation before. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson, these guys have been here before. Kyle Lowry's won a championship. So I definitely would want to be a Denver Nuggets fan over a Miami Heat fan right now. And yeah, get all those guys to Brooklyn. Let's do a full trade swap. Both teams. I love it. All right, Pete, let's move on. Let's get to some Nets news. All right, we're going to start with, I guess the biggest news of the week if you're a Nets fan. Mikal Bridges commits to Team USA for FIBA World Cup 2023. He joins Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Bobby Portis, and Austin Reeves as those selected. Pete, what are your thoughts on our boy Mikal Bridges getting the invite and committing to Team USA?
I fucking hate it. I hate it 100%. You think about all these Olympics, FIBA. Yes, it's great. They get, Bridges talking to another star player. Maybe they come and join us in Brooklyn a couple years down the line. But the first thing that comes to my head is the Paul George injury. When he's snapping his tibia, he's out for the year. I think he played only 6 games the following season. And I think you take Bridges off this Nets team, and this team is going to be disastrous. Obviously, we haven't done the draft yet. It's not a completed roster. But all I think is just we're like a Bridges injury away from being a lottery lock. That's like the nightmare scenario.
You're not a parent yet, are you?
I'm not.
So you're going to be the dad who's going to be super worried every time his kid plays a
Oh,
sport that he's going to get hurt.
Absolutely.
Nah, you can't do that. You see, you got to let your kid go out and get experiences. And that's exactly what this is for Mikal Bridges. This is an excellent experience to play real talent overseas, get better at your game, work on your IQ, work with coaches you normally don't work with, pick their brains. Mikal Bridges is a student of the game, right? He is someone who's gradually improved his skills each year to the point where he is a fringe all-star player at this current moment. So any type of experience that he can get to make him better, to make him sharper, to sharpen those edges, absolutely. I love this move by Mikal Bridges. The more basketball, the better.
That's fair. Like I said, I'm someone who's rather nervous when it comes to stuff like this. Nets don't have the best luck, so I'm always, a little when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, sometimes you got to let your kid play football for a season or two, All right, we're moving on. We got assistant coach news. The Nets have added Kevin Ollie as an assistant coach. Pete, thoughts on BK adding Kevin Ollie?
I always have this thing that with the assistant coaches that I think they do add something to the team. I'm not going to deny that. I'm a coach myself. But really, it's the head coach that kind of sets the tone and gets the most out of his assistant coaches. And that's, like I said, that's how I usually think about things. We know Kevin Ollie from UConn. He won a championship. He played in the league for a couple of years. But this guy is a god. Like, this guy is really, really a god. He's not, this guy was kind of like a fringe player. He wound up being in 08, 09. He was the captain of the T-Wolves. In 09, 2010, he joins OKC on a vets minimum deal. And Kevin Durant had this to say about him. This is from a couple years ago. Kevin Durant, in an interview with Grantland, said that Kevin Ollie taught him the ropes and changed the culture of Oklahoma City. That it was a game changer for them. And apparently his professionalism changed Westbrook, Jeff Green, James Harden, and KD's professionalism and I guess practice style. Whatever it was, they seem to love him, and he's loved everywhere he goes. Great pickup by the Nets. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it as well. I like it because he was a legend at UConn, won that title in 2014, and I think that he's someone that can attract younger collegiate players to want to play for the Brooklyn Nets. I also think, you can't shut the door on a Kevin Durant return in a few years. Maybe at the twilight of his career, he comes back with the Nets because Kevin Ollie's an assistant coach here. I'm not going to rule it out, Pete.
Also, he coached for Overtime Elite, which is sort of like the G League team the last 2 years. It's going to help in scouting a lot. He knows these guys, not just the star players, but everyone. And I'm sure he knows, at least some knowledge base of the high school game also.
Yeah, plus his last name is a cool skateboarding move. So, only guy in the NBA who has a cool skateboarding move as his last name.
Factual information.
Right.
Facts.
All right. I call this next segment important or nothing. There was video of a Nets fan screaming at Joe Tsai at a recent Liberty game. Joe, we want Lillard. And Joe Tsai's reaction was he smiled and laughed it off. Pete, is this something or nothing?
It's
important
nothing.
or nothing. Important or nothing. Yeah. That was the name of the segment. I got to remember the name of the segment. You're saying it's nothing?
Definitely important nothing. Let's face it. He's probably being called a lot worse out in the streets by some fans. That's probably the nicest thing he's been yelled at probably that day, right? But let's face it. So this is nothing. He probably gets that all the time. I'm sure he gets ridiculed for trading KD, I'm sure every star in the NBA has been yelled at him. So it's nothing. It's kind of funny, and I'm kind of happy that he could laugh at it.
I think it would have been very telling if he had said anything, right? Because like the way he played it was perfect. By just laughing, you have no idea which way he was leaning. But if he had reacted or if he had said something, there could have been a tell there, right? Like if he goes, I can't talk about off-season business, or that's Sean's job. If he had said something like that, I think we'd have a little bit more to speculate about.
Yeah, like well, we won't know anything, but like I said, I'm just happy that he laughed at it and he took it in stride, because I don't think anybody wants the owner that's going to get pissed off or start kicking out their own fans from his arena, sort of like the other team in New York City might do when their owner gets ridiculed.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to that fan for having the stones to raise his voice at Joe Tsai in Joe Tsai's house.
In his home, his
That's
humble
his
abode.
business. That's his baby. All right. This is a fun segment. This is called Do We Have a Beef Here? So Kevin Durant was super active on Twitter a few days ago, as he likes to be, former net. I have to put that out there. And he responded to a fan who commented on his health. And he said, you got to beware of guys flopping into my legs. I'm going to work on that this summer. He was being sarcastic, obviously, because he hurt himself due to Bruce Brown falling into KD's legs against the Pelicans a few years ago. So a lot of Nets fans, including the Brooklyn Netcast Twitter, if you're on Nets Twitter, you know who those guys are. They post a lot. They have a large following. They believe that this confirmed that KD did not want Bruce Brown back in Brooklyn. So what are your thoughts here? Do we have a beef? Is KD subliminally taking shots at current West Finals player Bruce Brown?
Question: who fell into KD last season? Do you
Jimmy
remember?
Butler.
Yeah, exactly, right. So it's kind of a reach saying that it's Bruce Brown. Like it's I don't even know what to say. Like fans kind of reach for this stuff all the time, and this one's just a complete reach. Now, do I believe that there is a beef between them? Possibly, yeah, but I don't think this was a shot at him.
And I really wonder what that beef could be. Like, what reason could Kevin Durant have to not want Bruce Brown back in Brooklyn? If you ever watch Bruce Brown do any interviews, he seems like an extremely charismatic guy. He's clearly a hard worker. That's part of his MO is he's going to outwork you. He has a love for the game that's just easy to see. And when he plays, like he plays with a passion that you think KD would respect. So if KD doesn't like Bruce Brown, then phooey on him, man. That's just pick guys not to like who deserve not to be liked. Because Bruce Brown seems like an extremely likable guy.
Do you think it's more of a system fit? Like maybe he didn't think that Bruce Brown's size fit well on the roster because we already were undersized?
Yeah, I guess. But in that case, get rid of Patty Mills.
But that's point guard. Come on, they were using Bruce Brown as like the de facto power forward, right?
No, I get what you're saying. Maybe it was schematics, but again, Kevin Durant should not be the general manager. If he likes a guy and wants to bring that guy in, fine. But Bruce Brown was such an essential piece of that 21 team. Like you saw what we missed this year without him.
Yeah,
we missed a guy who could come off the bench and make plays on offense, not only for himself but for others. So, yeah, that kind of struck a nerve with me when I read that. All right, this next segment I like to call Time Traveling Nets. Pete, if you can put any net from the history of the organization on this team, who would it be?
I could have gone really, really deep back. I didn't want to go that far. I kept it to the Brooklyn era. I thought it'd be interesting to see, and this is going to be a very unpopular answer. 2012, 2013 D. Will. Played 78 games, 36 minutes a game. He put up 18 points, shot 44% from the field, 37% from three, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal a game. And I imagine this lineup: D. Will, Bridges, CJ, Add in a power forward, I don't know, through trade or free agency or whatever, and Clax. But the four of those guys, I like that. I like that. Debo provides the scoring, the ball handling, and we know that he's a good passer. It allows Bridges to fall into that number 2 spot, and then our third option is CJ, which is ridiculous if you think about it.
Yeah, no, listen, I have respect for Darren Williams, mainly during his tenure with Utah. Was not his biggest fan while he was in Brooklyn. Thought he really did not live up to his potential. The only thing I look at is I look at Spencer Dinwiddie, and I think Darren Williams at that stage in his career was a little bit better version of Spencer Dinwiddie. No?
I think a lot better passer.
Okay.
I'm looking at that. And then
Dinwiddie had some great assist numbers in the regular season with Brooklyn.
Did. I think he might have led the NBA in the second half or something like that. He was one of. I agree, but I think he's just a better fit.
Okay. I got one for you. You ready? So listen, I respect Darren Williams, all-star in his prime. Give me a solid role player. I've been wanting a stretch 4 Nets team for a long time. So give me a guy. Give me a. Well, okay, I have 2 guys in mind. Was Luis Scola ever on the Nets?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it'd be him or it'd be Boston Knockbar. I'd actually prefer Scola because Scola can hit the mid-range. But for me, what the Nets have been lacking is that quintessential 3 and D power forward who can get rebounds, who can, like Kevin Love in his prime when he was on the Cavs and he was playing alongside Tristan Thompson. That's who I want. I want Davis Bertans from a few years ago when he was raining threes for, I think this was San Antonio at that point. Those are the kinds of guys I want. And Boston Knockbar was a knockdown 3-point shooter. He was big. He had size. He'd be a nice 4, but Scola, really, I think Scola would fit perfectly. If you had a lineup of Mikal, Spence, CJ, Scola, and Nick Claxton, I would vibe hard with that lineup.
What do you think about AK-47 when he was like, defensive of the player of the year-esque, hitting down threes? I feel like that would be a monster on this team.
Yeah. I guess my problem with him and Cam Johnson are very similar in size, right? Karolinko was 6'10". I feel like he
might be taller, but you might be right. This is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I liked Karolinko's game. Even like KG would be perfect. I don't even care if he was out of his prime. KG would be so good for this team because he could play right alongside Kendrick Perkins, any of those guys. He would be great alongside Claxton. All right, we have a happy birthday in the Nets universe. Royce O'Neal has turned 30 years old. Pete, happy birthday, Royce O'Neal.
Shout out to Royce O'Neal. I hope he has a nice dinner with his family. Maybe go to a nice steakhouse.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Right?
How do you order your steak? How are we getting our steak these days?
Oh, I get it rare. Wow. I get it rare. I'm a bad boy.
You don't even want that thing cooked.
No, I want that. I want that shit red as fuck.
Wow. Okay. God damn. Yeah, I'll go medium rare if I'm feeling a little crazy. Yeah, I think that's how I order my steak because I order my burgers medium. I order my steaks medium rare.
You got to live one time, bro.
Yeah, rare is a little much for me. All right. This next segment is called In Other News. Totally unrelated to the Nets. There was a Shams Charania report that rocked the NBA Twitter scene today. Kyrie Irving is openly trying to recruit LeBron James to Dallas this offseason. Not sure how LeBron will get there. Not sure if Dallas will have the money to even make a deal like that work. But Kyrie Irving wants it on record through Shams Charania that he wants the king in Dallas with him and Luka. Pete, what were your thoughts when you first saw that?
Not surprised. People have been talking about that for a little bit. The last couple of years, there was, is Kyrie going to go to the Lakers? The Nets are going to trade Kyrie to the Lakers. Let's get Kyrie and LeBron back. Let's get that nostalgia back from Cleveland and put them in LA. Not surprised. I don't know how, like you said, I don't know how they would do it. they would have to jump through some hoops, and with the new CBA, it would. I can't even imagine like the fines and whether through draft picks or whatever that Dallas would have to go through. It would be ridiculous.
Yeah, let me tell you how that conversation probably went. So Kyrie calls up LeBron. He goes, "Bron, how would you feel about playing in the Lone Star State?" LeBron responds, "No, thank you." Hangs up. That's the whole conversation. Why would LeBron go play in Dallas? They were not making the playoffs last year, right? They missed the playoffs. They don't have a lot of young pieces. The Josh Green, I think, is his name, and I want to just make sure I'm not getting his name incorrect because that would be rude. They don't have a lot of young pieces. They're not. I mean, look, they're a LeBron James away. Yeah, Josh Green, he had a good season last year. They're obviously LeBron James away from being a title contender, but LeBron's not going to leave the Lakers and this organization that he pretty much, built alongside Rob Pelinka to go play in Dallas. You think that Cuban's gonna let LeBron James run his franchise? Do you know Mark Cuban? Like, this is wild to me. And if they're falling, if the Mavericks organization is falling for Kyrie's kind of like, hey, give me a contract. Here's what I can do for you. Give me the max. I'll bring over LeBron. I'll bring over this guy. Like, okay, after LeBron says no, who else is Kyrie going to recruit to Dallas? Who is Kyrie that close with outside of LeBron? Who would play with him in Dallas?
Jaylen Brown.
That's actually the one guy that came to mind after I said that. Yeah, that would be interesting. Jaylen, Kyrie, and Luka in Dallas. I think it's hilarious. I think it reeks of desperation, to be honest with you. It gives me sort of that, like, who does Kyrie think he is vibe? He's the first to bash the media about saying things about who he is as a person and talking about him. He wants the media to keep his name out their mouths, but then he goes through a source to get to Shams Charania and get this leak. Like, to me, it's total baloney. I don't think LeBron's going to go to Dallas. Frankly, this tweet made me kind of sick this morning.
Understandable. I think there's a better chance Kyrie goes to LA, right?
Yeah, and again, there's a few hoops that LA needs to go through to make that work as well. And does the LA even want to pay him? Right? That's the question that you have to think about. What team is going to pay this guy a lot of money? Because he has not been the most available player the last 4 years. Injury.
One team.
What team?
The Mavs.
Because
they have to.
Because they have to. That's your answer. All right, Pete. I'm going to end this episode with a nice little entertaining, funny-ish segment. We like to have fun here on Fireside Nets. For those who listen, it's not all about breaking down what happened on the court. It's also about, keeping each other smiling and, sharing good vibes week to week. So this next segment is called Mandate, the Pete from the Only Nets Fan You Know edition. So we were texting, me and Pete, earlier this week, and he said, I'd love to go to a Nets game with you. I thought that was really nice. And I just wanted to know, live on the podcast, could you talk to me about what our night would be like if we went to a Nets game together? This is a straight mandate between two dudes who love the Brooklyn Nets.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that was it. That was the end of my question.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to set the ambiance, set the atmosphere for you. Okay.
Please do.
So the weather is going to be a little bit warmer. It's not going to be in the middle of the season where it's cold and you can't really walk around. It's going to be towards the latter days of the season. We're going to be walking around Fifth Avenue. We're going to find a nice bar, knock down a couple drinks, some cocktails, talk about the game. We'll get to the game maybe half an hour early. So then, we'll go through the what's the back entrance of the arena?
I have no idea. I don't know anything.
I forgot. Anyway, we're not going to go through the front. We're going to skip the crowds, go through the back entrance of the arena where the true fans go through because, there's no lines there ever.
Yep.
Walk in, we'll get maybe a beer or two. We'll settle into our seats. We'll talk about the game. It's going to be the Nets versus the Knicks or some, or some important game, some game of value. We're going to get a little rowdy with our drinks and maybe a little shit talking with some Knicks fans that happen to be seated around us. Not anything violent or crazy. Just keep it basketball. We're not gonna have anything at the game though, because the prices are too much and I'm too cheap.
Agreed. Very
I
smart.
you got a wife, I got a girlfriend, and we gotta give the cheddar to them.
You got
So
to keep the expenses down. I'm with you.
yeah. So watch the game, enjoy the game. The Nets are gonna win. Buzzer beater by Bridges.
Oof.
We go crazy, and we say, like, you hungry? And then I'm gonna go to you, and this is where this is gonna go.
Okay.
And this is very important to me because I have very strong feelings about this. I don't know if we can keep this friendship going.
I like
Do
food.
you go Shake Shack or Chick-fil-A?
I'll probably go Shake Shack.
My guy.
Yeah,
The real
that's
one.
easy.
I
Shake
don't
Shack's
like
one of my
not
favorite
a
fast
Chick-fil-A guy.
casual. One of my favorite fast casual burgers out there.
See, this budding bromance is. I see it budding even more. Of course, we get our burgers. We share cheese fries. We have our shakes. We talk the game, and then depending what day it is in the week, maybe we get like one more drink, or I take the N train home, and we call it a night. We say we'll do this again some other time.
Pete, I have to be honest with you. That night sounds heavenly. The way that you set the picture and you set the mood, I literally closed my eyes and imagined we were there when we both reached for the cheese fries and accidentally touched hands. I acted startled, but I wasn't. That sounded like a really nice night, and I can't wait to make it a reality.
Sounds good.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
That does it. What a nice episode of Fireside Nets, brought to you by our guys at Empire Sports Media. Thank you to Pete from the Only Nets Fan podcast. My guy right here. Love having you on the show, and thanks to everyone for listening. Tune in.
Can I get one more plug-in really quickly? It's
Yeah,
the Only Net Fans You Know, but I know the Twitter gets confusing. The Twitter is Nets Fans You Know. You can check us out. We put out weekly episodes with my co-host Charlie, and you'll probably see me on here with Spen, somewhere down the line.
Absolutely. And by the way, apologies for cutting off your plug. Yes, please, if you're not already following his Twitter page at
Nets Fans You Know, you got it.
At Nets Fans You Know. That's what the Twitter page is. Didn't want to get it wrong. And absolutely, I can almost guarantee, as much as I plan on waking up tomorrow, that you will be back on this show very soon. Thanks again to everyone who listened, and go Nets. And as always, catch